Happiness is freedom. Freedom is having the choice to spend your time doing things that inspire you. Most people want freedom, but many people don't have a clear objective, a roadmap, or a strategy to achieve it. Everyone deserves to live an inspired and free life. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on our most meaningful work, we simply become better human beings. We can give more, care more, support more, and love more. I'm an investor, a trader, and an entrepreneur, and I get to spend every day doing what I love. At the age of 29 years old, I became financially free, and since then my mission has been to help and inspire other people to achieve the same so that they can be more of who they really want to be. Always Free is about having a free mind, being free to question the status quo, free to take risks, free to say no, free to say yes, free from social idealisms, opinions and beliefs, free to disobey, and free to wake up every day and spend your time to make a difference that inspires you. You can have it all. Living a life designed by you isn't a stroke of luck or a result of circumstance. It's a choice. So if you want to learn how to become free and live an inspired life, join me for the #1 show for financial empowerment and wealth creation as I share my insights, tips, strategies and advice on what allowed me to be always free. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Graystone. Well, welcome back to the Always Free show. Hope you had a nice week so far. If this is the first time you're listening, this is the #1 show for financial empowerment and wealth creation, and there's plenty more episodes that you can go and watch before this one, and you can also check out the Always Free podcast, which this show span off of a newsletter, which you can go and check out at jasongraystone.com. And I highly recommend you go and check out the podcast. Start at episode 1 and you'll get the most value that way. Who we got here? Richard Thompson, Becky, Bruce. Please tell me the best Forex ECN broker. So difficult to find it. I'm new in this area. Good evening all. If you check out my last video, I've started to put links to companies that I trust inside my descriptions just because of the nature of this industry and the amount that I get asked that question. So if you go and check out my last video, you'll see a link in the description. There'll also be a link in this description. How is everyone? Thank you for joining us. We did start the stream on time, but it struggled to connect out to the interweb. So we had a bit of a technical glitch, but we got there in the end. How is everyone today? Everyone doing well? Evening. Good stuff. Thanks for the live stream. Please give a shout out, Jade Flearmoy. Good evening. Everyone ready for what is it? Storm David, or whatever they call it. Storm Jeffrey. We got some wind coming overnight and some gusty weather in the UK, so batten down the hatches. We're going to get stuck in. So today, what I want to do this week is kind of deter people from a certain type of wealth accumulation. And I know that sounds a bit odd because, you know, it might sound a bit odd to you because I actually do head up an education side to my business on this particular skill that I'm going to be talking about, but hear me out because it will be relevant to many of the people watching this show. And if you're stumbling across this video for the first time and you've just literally seen this for the first time, it's going to be very, very relevant to you. And the question that comes up a lot, which I got a question, when is a good time to get into trading? Okay, now I've already had a question in the chat about trading just now, so this is kind of what I want to tackle. And I'm going to tackle some other things as well about action taking and the right approach to things and things that I've learned. But this is the question, right? When's a good time to do it? When can I get into it? Hello from Worcester. Thanks for tuning in. And I've lost count of the amount of times where people have come to me and they want to learn to trade and they've got no money or they're in a desperate mindset, okay? And that's not the best way, obviously. And before I get stuck into this episode, I want to just get clear about something, and I kind of want to do a little refresher on what Always Free is about. So I just want to take a little step back. You guys that have read my newsletter or listened to my podcast before, you know that the Always Free foundations are about wealth mindset, okay? So the ability to take on opinions with an open mind and question everything. And if it doesn't align, make decisions that are based on you and your values and not someone else's, so that you don't end up feeling bitter or you've got resentment and all that kind of stuff. It's also about wealth accumulation, so taking control of your personal finances, controlling your income, paying yourself first, saving, optimizing your expenses, allocating your income, building a business, controlling your income, investing, passive investing, and all the rest of it. And then there's wealth acceleration, which is growing your income, really leveraging your income, speculating, investing in stocks, higher risk, higher leverage, compounding, trading, that kind of thing. And then there's wealth inspiration. And wealth inspiration is kind of the action steps that you get from this. These strategies, taking action, actually doing the work, actually doing the action steps, building momentum, getting results, get motivated, keep designing your life and refining your life and being more and more who you want to be. And that's really the foundations of Always Free, right? Now, before I get into the actual guts of tonight's topic, I want to reinforce something about this statement, because really it does go hand in hand in if you're looking to learn the skill of trading. All right. Now, many people want to start something. Might be trading, might be anything, could be anything, right? They want to start something, and let me know if you're looking at starting something now, if you're looking to start something new now, or you're kind of interested in learning something. They spend months and maybe years reading about it, learning it, but never apply it or actually start, okay? And starting something takes serious work and like action taking. Let's not mistake that. It does. It does take some for you to get out of your comfort zone. All right. But the people that are learning and never applying, you have to understand that knowledge isn't power unless you apply what you learn. So I've read over 600 books. I've attended thousands of webinars, hundreds of networking events. I've bought probably 50 boot camps, high level boot camps. I've paid for about 10 high level mastermind groups. And yes, they've all contributed to my income growth over the years. However, it's only because I implemented what I learned. You have to implement what you learn. And I know that sounds obvious. But working with so many people now, I know that it's not common practice. And in fact, some of my mentors or my accountability partner, he says one thing about you is you actually do it, you get it done. And I think there is a definitive, there is something there. There's something there in people that actually go and start and people that don't. All right. And I know it sounds obvious, but you can only earn more from what you've learned if you actually use the information the right way and then make a start. Make sense? So I'm asked frequently how I manage to get so much done. They think that I don't sleep, or I'm consistently wound up and stressed or on the pulse. But actually, something that was funny that came up is I wear a Garmin, right? I wear a Garmin watch and I wear it to sleep, and it tracks the sleep and all the rest of the thing. And one of the things that I screenshotted for this show tonight is my sleep. Right now, look at this for consistency. I haven't worn it every night, but my average time awake over a week is 1 minute. That's 10 seconds a night. There's 6, right? So there's six days that I wore the watch for. The average of those 6 days is 1 minute awake. That's 10 seconds per night awake. Now, if you look at the 10 minutes and then 4 minutes, if you look at the consistency of the patterns though, right? So I'm kind of in deep sleep for about an hour and 20 minutes on average. I've got a rapid eye movement of around 2.5 hours every night. But the most important thing is the sleep time, right? So it's like
Seven hours and 50 minutes, 7.5 hours. Now, I always say I need between 7 and 8 hours sleep, and that shows the consistency of that. So actually, I've got a very relaxed state. I'm able to, I'm able to manage complex situations and trade and invest and build businesses and build income and do this kind of thing, and still get to sleep properly, no stress, wake up in the morning, do the same thing again, and deal with complex situations. So people think that you can do more when you're in a kind of energized state, but in actual fact, you become more relaxed the more controlled you are. But guess what allows you to be very relaxed and allows you to sleep like a log and allows you to ease your mind and allows you to deal with complex situations? By taking action. Because worry is what causes you not to sleep, and worry is what puts you on edge, and worry is something that will allow you not to focus correctly on whatever it is you're going after next. Right now, you are who's that say? Well, some people might be interested. It's relevant. But look, here's the thing. You've got to, the more you can sleep and the more you can kind of focus, the more you can concentrate on moving forward, the more progress you can make. Okay. And what I'm trying to say is, by actually having your mindset right, you're able to go and do more in your life. So some of my tips for getting stuff done before we get into the kind of trading things, I'm going to talk about trading. Forget overwhelm. Okay. So forget overwhelm. We've talked about overwhelm before. We've talked about, just start implementing what you've learned. If you're overwhelmed, break stuff down and really kind of, learn how to remove overwhelm by breaking goals down into small little chunks. Sleep is a big issue, says Chris. Yeah, right. Absolutely. The second thing is implement in your business or your life whatever it is you're learning, even if you don't quite understand everything about it yet. Right? If you're learning something, start applying it immediately. Start doing it immediately in some way. It doesn't mean that you've got to have all the answers right there straight away, but you just start chipping away, implementing small bits at a time. And the third thing is, and this is a big one, is to tell someone who doesn't understand what you've learned. Okay, tell them about it. And it helps you recap and kind of embed what you've learned in your own mind. Great practice. If you've got kids, go and explain to them what you're learning, because it forces you to explain it in a way where you're teaching yourself. You're releasing subconscious kind of information, right? Sick of all the online gurus? Yeah, so am I. I'm not a guru for sure. So, but if you don't like the show, then you can always just stop watching right now. There was a man called Edgar Dale. Edgar Dale, he did a big study on memory retention and results from learning. Okay, so he basically conceived this. He conceived this thing called I think it was called what was it called? It was called the cone of learning. I think it was called the cone of learning. It was basically a study on how people retained information and how people implemented what they learned. And what he found was that after 2 weeks, we remember 10% of what we read, 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, 50% of what we see and hear, 70% of what we say, and 90% of what we say and do. Okay, so 90% of what we say and do, if we're speaking about it and actually doing it, you retain the information, you get better quicker. And here's the thing, most people do nothing. Most people do nothing. They do the opposite. They read and read and read, but they never implement. I hear about this. If you can't explain it to a child, you don't know enough about it. Yeah, it's a great thing to do. If you need to explain something, try explain it to someone who just has no idea, and it forces you to verbalize it and release subconscious kind of learnings that's stored in your subconscious mind. Cool. just to give you a bit more of an example, you take my newsletter, for instance, right? I did my own study on this a while back. And at the time, there was about 5,000 subscribers to my newsletter, okay? And on average, the newsletter at the time had about a 35% open rate, which is that's considered a good open rate, 35%. That meant that 1,800 people opened the email and read it, okay? Now, 1,800 people open the email and actually read it, okay? So the read rate and the open rate's not really the same thing. But the 90-10 rule meant that out of those 1,800 people, only 180 read it to the end, okay? And then because of the 90-10 rule, it also meant that out of that 180 people, 18 people took the action steps. So out of 5,000 subscribers to that newsletter, 18 people are actually doing anything with the information that they learn. And I've also found this to be true in my TOEFL program. Right, compared to the number of members we've got, a small portion of them have actually gone through the entire program. And guess what? If they did go through it, they'd be way ahead of where they are now. And in fact, they'd be ready to trade, which is what I'm going to be talking about in just a moment. Speaking of trading, but before I do, remember this, right? If you buy a course, actually log in and set aside time to do it and implement what you've learned and do it immediately. If you buy a book, don't leave it on the shelf or bedside table unread. Read it and then implement what you've learned immediately in some way. Don't wait for the right time or to finish the book or just to know everything about it and, add it to some other thing. Just start doing it immediately. And that's the way I've built TOEFL. That's the way I like to give you these bite-sized chunks in these shows and the podcast and the newsletter so that you immediately can take some steps that move you forward. All right. So look, that leads us on to the question, which is about trading. But you'll kind of see why that was important in a moment. Because one, look, if you're in a desperate state of mind, you're not going to be able to trade. Okay. If you're not able to take action, and by the way, when I was talking about the sleep thing, one thing I forgot to mention is the biggest cure for not being able to sleep and being worried is action taking. Because the more it builds up and the more you say, I should be doing this, I've got to be doing that, I've got to do this, that, and the other, the more you're going to be stressed about it. But by actually going out and taking actions, you're going to sleep better. You're going to worry less. There's going to be less on your mind. You're going to be able to, focus on other things. You're going to feel more fluid and not as restrained. So that leads us on to the question about trading, right? And I want you to know that when is the right time to get into trading? Because due to the, how it's portrayed and how it's out there on the internet, there is actually a wrong time to get into trading and a right time to start. Okay, so it's kind of different to the message I've just been putting across, but because of the way it's portrayed, people do go into trading the wrong way. And mostly, the wrong way to get into it is all down to expectations, okay? Now, when people ask what I do, I've lost count of the number of times where people have screwed their face up when I tell them I'm a trader and they're like, oh, isn't that like risky? Isn't that gambling? And my answer to that question is always, yes, it is risky. Yeah, it is risky. And it can be gambling if you approach it as a gambler. And if you are approaching it as a gambler, then do not trade, right? If you're thinking about trading as a first port of call and you're in a kind of dire financial situation, I can tell you that it isn't for you yet because you will be gambling and not trading. You won't be trading, all right? So get out of the hole that you're in by following some action steps in the previous shows or the podcast or the newsletter on my website, jasongraystone.com. And start there, all right? Secondly, you might want to get into trading later, but if you're going into trading, you've got to understand this. The Forex market, and this is worth writing down, okay? If you're going to get into trading, this is worth writing down. The Forex market or the stock market just does what it does. It moves up and it moves down, and that's it. That's it. There's no way that the market can be a gamble because it just moves. And it's been doing the same thing for years and years and years. It doesn't care what people think. It doesn't care what traders think. It doesn't care how you approach it or what you do. It just does the same thing all the time. Okay, and there's patterns that play out in the market that are predictable, that are based on market behaviors, the participants' reactions, their psychology, their emotions, and that is playing out over and over again. The human mind hasn't changed for thousands of years. So the whole time that the human mind is placing trades and moving the market and the economy is working the way that it does, it's not going to change. All right, so the market isn't gambling, it's just moving up and down. That's all it does. Gambling is an approach, not a vehicle. When you get in a car, you can either speed and drive recklessly down the motorway, or you can drive safe and calm, right? The car's the same. It's your approach. It's your it's your decision to how you approach it, right? So the approach and the mentality of the person who approaches the market is what determines whether or not it's gambling, all right? Think of the casino. If you go into a casino, a lot of people think a casino is a risky place, right? It's a risky place, and most people lose money, and that's true. But what makes the casino risky is the approach of how the casino game player goes into the casino. They approach the casino with, no consistency. And they're not a professional. They're just going there for a bit of fun. They try the roulette table. They haven't got a strategy. They try the black table. They haven't got a strategy. They do the one-arm bandit, and they go the roulette table and the fruit machines. And they're a gambler. They're just approaching a casino as a gambler, a bit of fun, and hopefully win some money, which rarely happens, okay, because there's no strategy. However, on the other hand, if you look at the winning, like the poker tournament table, every night it's the same players sitting at the winner's table. And this isn't because they're lucky. Neither is it because they've fixed the game. It's simply because they're treating it as a business. They've got a plan, they've got a strategy, they're consistent, they know when to stop, they know when to carry on, they know their maximum allowable drawdown, they know how to manage their position sizing, and they've got risk management, money management, they've got all of that in place. They've got a solid plan of execution, and they know when to get in, when to get out, when to raise their stakes, when to call bluff, and ultimately when to stop. So they know the most important thing in a casino is to keep hold of your chips. If you lose your chips, you can't play anymore, right? And therefore, they focus more on they focus more on losing than they do on winning. Basically, they focus on not losing their chips rather than how much they can win. So trading Forex or trading the stock market is no different. It's only considered risky if you approach it as a gambler. If you treat it like a business and you're playing an edge over time and you're taking it seriously, then you're going to do all right. It's a business. And if you lose your capital, you're out of business. And most people don't take it seriously. But if you do and you get yourself set up correctly, you'll have one of the best businesses on earth, because once the skill is developed and you can pick up and drop it when you like, it's there forever. It's like riding a bike. You can stop trading for a year and then get straight back into it. And it's very, very liberating skill to have. But my advice is not to use it as a wealth accumulation vehicle. If you're in a desperate frame of mind, or you're trying to accumulate wealth and you're trying to, you're in the early stages, don't use trading as an accumulation. It will literally force you to approach it like a gambler. So look, my goal for this show is to give you the kind of highest possible chance of achieving financial freedom. And I really hope that this approach, these kind of insights and thought processes of helping you do that, because the last thing I want you to do is to approach trading as gambling, get burned, never go back to it, and have this kind of bad view on it, when actually, if you just get your money game right, put some money into the markets, test the water, get some passive investments under your belt, then approach trading when you've got some capital to lose and you've got some, you're not really worried about the money that goes into your trading account, and you've got the time and you've got no time pressure to learn to trade. That's when you're going to have the highest probable chance of success at trading. And that's what we want you to get you to. So hopefully you found value in that. If you let me know what stage you're at right now. Let me know if you're trading. Let me know if you're just passive investing, or you've got, you're focused on your income growth right now. I'd love to know in the comments. And if you want to kind of really get stuck in on this and go a bit deeper, definitely book one of the strategy sessions that we've got coming up. We've got one on this Saturday coming, okay, which is, I think, the 20th. And then we've got one next Thursday and one next Saturday. So we've got 3 strategy sessions coming up this month. If you want to spend an hour and a half with me putting together a plan that's bespoke to you for the next 3 years, definitely join us on that session. It's going to be a nice intimate session with a small group, and we're going to put that plan out for you. There are limited spaces, so make sure you book in nice and early. And if you don't want to do that and you just want to kind of do something where it's just you can go and check out the wealth test. If you do this test, scan this QR code, do the wealth profile test, and it will scan. It's about 40 yes or no questions, and it will profile you, give you a bespoke report to your own situation and a blueprint on what to focus on next based on where you're at. So definitely go and check that out. All right, so that just about sums it up. We've been going on for a little while now. We started a little bit late. So that just leaves competition time. Competition time. We give away lots of always free goodies. All you have to do to be in a chance to win competition time is to literally be here, commenting in the chat. There's a few people, well, there's one person in here who definitely won't be winning. But you be here during the chat, snapshot the thing, post it on social and tag me in it. And that'll give you a higher probability chance of winning some goodies. And this week is based on last week's, okay? And it is Shane Griffith. So thank you, Shane, for joining us, spreading the word, and loving the show. So well done. And yeah, congratulations. Reach out to admin@graystone.education. And we'll be sending you some always free goodies. So that about wraps it up. Get booked onto a strategy session. Get booked on, go and take the wealth profile test. Definitely go and screenshot and tag me on social media to be in with a chance to win some goodies next week. And until then, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you then.